Hello, everyone. Hello. Let's try that again. Hello, everyone. That's better. So my name's Toby. I'm from the Science Museum, and it's my job at the Science Museum to run a team that go all around the world telling young people like yourselves about science and about engineering and about careers in science and engineering. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about. This is my team in action. That's my team, looking very happy on a nice day. They don't normally look that happy. We talk about what young people think scientists and engineers look like. Because you guys, you might have a certain image in your mind of what you think a scientist looks like or what an engineer looks like. And it might be something like this. You might think that a scientist is evil and is crazy and wears a lab coat and has a test tube in their hand and is generally, they might be German as well. That's generally how people think of all scientists. And an engineer, they think that they're fat, they think that they fix cars, and they think that they smell a bit. Now, do you think that's true? Some of you do. Well, it's partly true, but not entirely true. And I'm going to show you a whole different range of scientists and engineers who don't look like that and who do very different things to what you might expect they might do. So this is what we call a stereotype. So a stereotype is what you might think something is. It's a really simplified view. And at the Science Museum, we've done a bit of research into stereotypes of scientists. And we asked this question. We asked 100 people to name what they thought would be in a scientist's pocket. So can someone put their hand up and have a guess what you think, what might be in a scientist's pocket? You're going to shout it out so I can hear you. Yes. A what? A test tube? Yes, test tube. Nice one. What else? Anything else? Yes, shout it out really loud so I can hear. A what? I didn't hear that. A potion. Yes, a potion. Very good one. So this is a bit like Family Fortunes. You ever seen Family Fortunes? Yeah. So we asked 100 people. This was the top 8. First one's a pen. Second one, a calculator, glasses, notepad, phone, magnifying glass, a mint, random, and a test tube, like you said, and kind of what you said as well. So that is a stereotype. If you were to find a scientist, it's very unlikely they're going to have a magnifying glass in their pocket or a test tube. In fact, I can guarantee they won't. So that's what people think. Oh, thanks. That's what people think scientists and engineers are like, and I'm going to show you they're not quite like that. Now, to do that, I'm going to show you a little bit about what science is. Now, do you all do science at school? Yeah, you do. Now, your teachers are probably brilliant and they teach you interesting science, but I'm going to give you an overview of what science is. And to do that, I need 2 volunteers to come up here just to describe to you what science is. Now, there's a few schools here, so let's pick one from this school. Yes, you, sir, do you want to come up? You've got to be brave. Come up. And one other person, maybe from a different school and different gender. Yes, you. Come up here. Give my volunteers a round of applause. Stand up on the stage because you're quite small. Right, what's your name? Hold on, let's use this mic. Okay, what's your name?
Kirash.
Kirash and?
Mia.
Mia. Everyone say hello to Kirash and Mia. Right, so we're going to play a game called Mystery Boxes. So I've got 2 boxes here. You can ignore the numbers on them. Now, these boxes, they are glued shut. You can't get them open. And don't try to get them open either, because you probably could if you tried. But they're glued shut. And there's something in each of these boxes. You can kind of hear it rattling. And I want you to take one each. And I want you to rattle it. And I want you to listen. And I want you to smell it. I want you to try and work out what is inside that box. Okay, so you've got 5 seconds to do that. Count them down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, do you know what is in each of those boxes? Okay, right. Kirash has an idea. Can you please give me your best guess?
A cube.
You think a cube is in there?
Yeah.
Is it a heavy cube or is it a light cube?
Light.
It's light. Okay, so what object could it be in everyday life that's inside there? Like a light cube. What do you think?
Don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah.
That's okay. Fine. Okay, let's move on to this one. What do you think's in there?
I think it's like a little box with a shaky thing in, like a little shaker, what, like beads or stuff in the box.
Okay, so a box with a shaky thing inside. That's brilliant guesses. Give my volunteers a round of applause. You can sit down now. Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Right, so. Right, here is the punchline. I don't know what's in these boxes because I didn't make these boxes and I didn't put the things that are inside them in the boxes. Now, my two volunteers, they had their best guess about what was inside the boxes. So this one, I think Kirash said it was like I think he was trying to say it was like a little box rubbery thing. You can kind of hear it there. That's the sound that it makes. Now, there's no way for me to know what's inside this box unless I saw it open and have a look. And that is a little bit like science. Okay, so you have scientists all around the world trying to study our world. And they study it by using their senses. They look, they listen, they feel, they do experiments to try and work out what is in the box. But they can't actually get into the box. In science, there's no one with the right answer. You see, science doesn't deal in truth. No one can say, oh yeah, that science experiment you've done, you were right about that. And it's a common misconception, because you watch television, you might see someone like Brian Cox. You ever seen Brian Cox on the telly? He talks about space, and the way he talks about space is brilliant, but he does make it sound like we know everything, and we don't know everything. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, we don't know if we're right. Science deals in best guesses, like my friends here were making. They were guessing what was in the box, and that is how science works. Everything we know about the world is our best guess. And science progresses by you challenging your guess and trying to work out if you are right or not. That's how science changes. And that's what makes it really exciting. Because it means that when you guys grow up, if you want to become a scientist, you might do experiments that might discover things about the world, and you might prove other people wrong. You might prove Brian Cox wrong and something that he said about the universe because of the experiments that you do. So don't ever think that science knows the truth about things. It doesn't. It just has best guesses. It's the first thing I need you to know. So that's how science works. Now, I said I was going to talk about engineering as well. Engineering is a little bit different to science, but they're quite similar. This is going to show us the difference between science and engineering. A scientist on the right there, can you see this at the top? An scientist explores the world, they ask questions, they're curious, and they innovate. An engineer is very different. Now, this is a definition I've come up with for an engineer. This isn't the official one. They are creative problem solvers. So if you have a problem, you go to an engineer and they try and solve it for you by being as creative as possible. They like finding solutions and they like making changes to our world as well. Now, I know this because over the last 6 months I've talked to a lot of engineers, because back at the museum we're planning an exhibition all about engineering. So it's my job to talk to a lot of engineers. And these are the sort of things that they say when they were your age, they're like characteristics that they had. So you might recognise some of these in yourselves. If you like problem solving, if you're creative, if you want to make a difference to the world or want to help people, or even if you might like taking things apart to see how they work, then when you're older, it might be worth considering being a scientist or engineer. You don't necessarily have to be the cleverest person in the world. You don't have to be mad. You don't necessarily have to be German, but I think it does help. But those are the general skills that you might have that might mean that you want to be a scientist or an engineer. Now I'm going to show you some engineers, because they're not all mechanics. Mechanics are technically engineers, but this is an engineer I met a couple of weeks ago. He's called Trevor. He works at a university up in Manchester, and this room is a bit weird. This is the quietest room in the world. It's called an anechoic chamber. There's a fancy name. And it absorbs all of the sound that you produce when you're in that room. And Trevor does experiments in that room with anything that makes a noise. So he does experiments with like mobile phones, with fire alarms, with stereos, with TVs. He does experiments on the sound that they produce. It's very interesting. This is someone I met about a month ago. She's called Martha. She works in central London, and she works with artists to help them create their sculptures so that they don't fall over, essentially. So this one that she's created is in a very posh place. It's called Park Lane. And you can see that there's probably a lot more weight at the top of it than there is at the bottom. So it's her job to stop it falling over in the wind. So she spent about 6 months, she's an engineer, she spent 6 months at the foundry where they make it, putting in, it's got like an internal scaffolding inside it, that has a couple of tons of concrete here at the bottom. So she had to do all of the calculations to make sure it stayed up. Very interesting job. So she works with artists. The guy at the top, he's called Philip. He made something incredible. He made this tunnel in Kuala Lumpur. Now this tunnel not only can carry cars, it's got a 2-lane motorway, one at the top, one in the middle, and it can also take flood water from one area of Kuala Lumpur to another. And to change it from carrying cars to carrying flood water only takes 10 minutes. So once they've got all the cars out, they can flood it in 10 minutes, and it can transport water from one area to another so that there's not flooding in the area where they've taken the water from. So Philip, he's a civil engineer. He's making a great difference there. And then we've got Robert here. I didn't have a final slide of what he created, but a couple of years ago, he's an engineer, and he came up with this material here that becomes really conductive when you touch it, when you put pressure on it. And he created a ski jacket that has an iPod actually in the material. So it's not like a jacket with an iPod like shoved into it. It's actually part of the material, and you can press buttons, and if you have earphones, you can listen. So all of these guys are engineers, because engineering is so broad. There's absolutely hundreds of things. I think I've got one more person. Oh yeah, this is she's quite a famous engineer. She's called Roma, and she helped build the Shard. So she built the top of it, and she built the bottom of it. She didn't build anything in between. So she's called Roma. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. Okay, so if you can still hear me, got a question at the top. So this is just about engineering. Engineering is a massive field. How many engineering businesses and charities and companies do you think there are in the UK? Put your hand up if you think it's A. Put your hand up if you think it's B. Put your hand up if you think it's C. Some of you, right, you guys who said C, you were right. There are 500,000 companies in the UK who do engineering. And over the next 10 years, I always forget this figure, they will have 2.74 million job opportunities. So, you guys are very young, aren't you? You look like you're about 9 or 10. 10, thank you. You're 10. Are you all 10? Yeah, 10. How many of you know what you want to be when you grow up? Put your hand up if you know what you want to be. Okay, that's quite a lot of you. I was surprised by that. Okay, keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. Now, keep your hand up if you want to be one of these things. A doctor, a lawyer, a dentist, or a vet. Oh, okay, I was expecting more of you to be one of those things. Those are the things, when people are your age, those are the things that they always want to be. And it's great to be one of those things. They are fantastic. But that is not the whole story of careers in the country, because there are 500,000 engineering companies in the UK that you could work for. And there are hundreds of thousands of science organisations that you could work for, making a difference to the world. So that is the one thing that I want you to take away. You were quite young to know what you want to do. When I was your age, I had no idea what I wanted to be when I grew up. I still really don't, actually. I'm trying to work it out. But actually, here's another piece of advice I'm going to give you for free, because you're going to secondary school soon, probably a couple of years, aren't you? Secondary school? Yeah, next year. Okay, now at secondary school, you have to make decisions at 2 points. One of them, I think, is when you're 14. You have to decide whether you do triple science or double science. Now, if you can, try and do triple science, because if you do double science, you limit yourselves with all of these careers that you can do. And then there's another decision that's good that you can make when you're, I think it's 16, when you've done your GCSEs, you decide what to do at AS level. Try and pick a science subject like maths or chemistry or biology. Sometimes they can be quite difficult, but it is definitely worth it, because if you don't do those subjects, you can't be an engineer. You don't necessarily have to go to university. You could be an apprentice, but if you haven't done those subjects at GCSE or A level, it's difficult for you to become a scientist or engineer. So that's the other piece of advice I just want you to take away. Doesn't mean you all have to be scientists and engineers. It's just an interesting thing to know about, because lots of people make decisions based on what they know about. Now, I'm coming on, this is the last bit, I've got 2 more minutes, and I'm going to do a science experiment as well that you guys can take away. Who do you think influences your decisions most about what you're going to be when you grow up? Let's have a guess. Yes. Your parents, correct. I wasn't expecting you to be right first go. You think it's your teachers. No, your teachers are wonderful people. But actually, you spend more time out of school than you spend in school. And so, who is influencing you more? Your parents are influencing you more. So if your parent is a doctor, you're more likely to want to be a doctor. This is a proven thing. We've done a lot of research into it. If you have science books on your bookshelf at home, you're more likely to want to be a scientist. And the opinions of your parents influence what you're like. So this is the thing that I want you to do. I want you to go home and I want you to influence your parents to try and influence you back when you're older, okay? So, how this is going to work is I have an experiment that you guys can do at home. And I want you to go home and I want you to show this to your parents. I want you to say to them, I love science. Can you say that to them? Repeat that after me. Say, I love science. Okay, that's good. Right, so go home, find 3 glasses. I'm using proper glasses. You can use plastic ones because you're probably clumsy. So, 3 glasses. I'm sorry if you can't see this. You'll get the effect though. And then you need a placemat. I'll hold it up so you can see it. Placemat, shiny on one side, smooth on the other side. And then I want you to put it with the shiny side down on top of your glasses, okay? So it looks like that. And then you need some tubes. Now these, you can use like vitamin C tubes, or you can use Smartie tubes. They just need to be empty. So if you're using Smartie tubes, throw all the Smarties in the bin and just take the empty tube. And then you're going to place them on top of your glasses like this. And then the final thing, now, you can do this with eggs, you can do this with juggling balls, you can do this with anything that's circular in this kind of size. I recommend that you use eggs because it's far more exciting. And then you need a steady hand. You've got to put each one of the juggling balls, all eggs, balanced on top. Can't do it. On top of the tubes. Here we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kung fu chop the board out from underneath the juggling balls, and hopefully at least one of them will fall into the glasses. Okay? Who thinks I can do that? Put your hand up if you think I can do that. That's good, you've got faith in me. Put your hands up, thank you. Put your hands up if you don't think I can do that. Okay, that's about half. Put your hand up if you just couldn't care less. There's far more exciting stuff to go and see. Yes, fair enough. Let me finish quickly then. Okay, here we go. You've got to count down with me. 3, 2. Are you sure you want me to do this? Okay, here we go. 3, 2. I'm a bit nervous. I'm also a specialist in winding up children, so here we go. 3rd time, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Ah! I got all 3 in. Come on, round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. Now, that is really easy to do. Ask your teachers about the science of that. It's all to do with forces. Teachers, you can come talk to me afterwards. It's all about forces. Do that at home to your parents. Say to them, I love science. And then hopefully 10 years later, when you're deciding what A-levels to do, what career to do, they'll go, oh, you like science. Why don't you become a scientist? And you've got like a retro influencing thing. Clever, eh? Right. That's it. That's it from me. Give me a tiny round of applause. Tiny. Thank you. Oh, and a scream. That's it. Very good. My friend Gavin has come back onto the stage, and he's going to take questions from you. Gavin's mic, he's struggling with his mic. Think of a question in the interim. If you've got a question, maybe put your hand up. Anyone got a question? Oh, okay. Okay, well, does anyone have a question first off? No, no one has a question. Okay, never mind. All right, well, and the other thing I have to say is come to the Science Museum in London because it's amazing. That's it now. Thank you very much. Bye, everyone. Bye.